Hello,
Mhm.
everyone. Welcome to the show tonight. I'm Dr. Asatar Bear, my co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer.
Welcome.
Tonight, we are talking about the height and depth of the heart. So, the height of the heart is about our ideal. What do we consider to be the highest, the greatest, our sense of perfection? You know, this is very, very important to have. Sometimes people say, like, well, what's the point of having an ideal? Life is not ideal, right? Well, that's true. Life is not ideal. Life is pretty far from ideal. But if we don't have one, then we don't have a sense of direction. How can we improve things? Right?
Do do you think most people have an ideal though? Most people do, right? Most people have it.
Well, I think life has a way of crushing it out of us. I think, we have it as
That's true.
children. You know,
That's true.
we have it as children. We have
Yeah.
pure innocent hearts, right? And we kind of go into this world. And
Yeah.
so, you know,
In
but
the
life
world
crushes us quite a bit,
so just to amplify that, so it's like a lot of us will have a high ideal or a great height of our heart, but the world has a way of crushing crushing it
Yeah,
out of it,
we get
crushing it
distorted.
down.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
naturally think that if we're coming from this pure, wonderful, innocent place, that we'll be successful. Um,
I do. I've been very
yeah,
disappointed by
me too.
that.
And of course, that's not always true, right? I mean, success depends on so many variables, and purity of heart, is not the only one, right? I mean, it matters,
Yeah.
but it's not the only one, right? So
Yes.
it's certainly possible to be acting out of, one's highest ideal and still fail. And that's going to produce a wound. That's
Yeah.
gonna produce a wound. So, and when maybe
Yeah.
we say, okay, the problem is that I believed, um,
Yeah. That
problem
is like
is
that
really
is where our mind goes. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Just that's where our mind goes.
Yeah, yeah.
Ish.
Oh, we have our dear
Yeah.
friend Akbar Kadus is here. Great job last week.
Oh,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you, AQ.
Always
Thank
great to
you.
see you. So, we
Yeah.
and then this is all connected to the depth of the heart too, right? The depth of the heart is where we feel those deep emotions, the sadness, the longing, the those emotions that connect us all, there's a universal feelings here. And a
Mhm.
lot of times there's pain there too, it can also be joy. It can be that deep, deep sense of joy and peace. Um, but a
Mhm.
lot of times pain is connected to the depth of the heart, and nothing deepens your heart like pain, or it can. Hazrat
Yeah.
Khan has this great line, right, where he says, pain is like fire. It can either cook food or burn it. That's the effect that it can have on your heart, right? It can
Yeah.
make your heart very tender and very approachable, or you get burned, and the
Yeah.
opposite can happen. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. When a person has a really deep heart, they can produce like this extraordinary poetry or
yeah,
this ability. Like I find that people with deep hearts, they have a certain level of presence where they can kind of hold space for other people really well.
yeah,
Or they cry easily, like they have a lot of empathy, a lot of compassion, and the tears are right there, even for other people or other people's suffering. So like those are all great qualities of the depth of the heart.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And they're
what
connected, of course, right? Because, a
mhm.
lot of times it's our unwillingness to go into the depths that cuts off the great heights that we could be experiencing too.
Yeah, so like this is something that I've been experiencing because like I have a really deep I have a very deep heart. Like I have like it's just like an ocean down there. It's just
Right?
it keeps going. And so um
Beautiful quality to have.
and when I'm in my, like, nature, like, as in, like, when I'm, like, in myself completely, I have really awesome heights too, like, it comes through with my laugh and my humor and things like that, and,
Right.
oh, my ideals, like, my ideals are way up there. But lately or this happens to me where I'll follow my ideal, just like Asatar was saying, and then it won't work out, and then my heart will be crushed. And it pretty much requires my willingness to feel the grief or the pain in the
Yeah,
deeper parts of my heart in order for that height to reopen again. And it's such a weird paradox because it's like, feel your pain to feel better. It's just like, you're like, oh, let me just pretend it's not there. Let me push it down, or let's just wait till it's time will pass and it'll go away. That's not
yeah.
how it works.
But it's not, that's a very good point, so there's a connection here with grief, with being willing to go to this place and just feel it, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no, you know, it's not about doing, right? It's just about experiencing and allowing these feelings to flow, and
Mhm.
that's a tough one for us, right? Our minds, we always want to figure it out, and we want to be active, and oh, what's the problem? Let's fix it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just have to be with the pain. Sometimes it's like you take a shot at something that really matters to you. This is an incredible moment of height,
Mhm.
and it doesn't work out. And then what do?
Mhm.
You have to grieve that.
Yeah.
That's a loss. That's
Or
that's trauma. You got to grieve that.
yeah. Yeah, and like for myself, it's like there I get hung up on like wanting there to be some kind of justification or wanting there to be like an apology or wanting there to be something where
Right.
yeah, I really and then I'll feel better. It's like it's definitely one of these things I struggle with. And I think it's also true like there can be I think people are experiencing a lot of crushed hearts right now with everything that's happening that we're witnessing in Gaza and many other aspects that are happening within the world.
Oh yeah.
Um, the schools, the children being afraid and having drills to have to hide. I was part of that. That I was when I taught in the high school. I got to be a part of that, and it
Yeah.
was fucking horrible. And
Right.
um, and this is like a part of their reality, this is a part of something. And so there's a lot of this like it's a nonsensical amount of suffering. It's like this unnecessary suffering that's happening. And I find that can really crush our hearts,
Oh yeah.
um, even on a global scale or on a national scale.
Absolutely. And, I think there's also that sense of powerlessness. I mean, we're
Yeah.
witnessing incredible genocide in Palestine, right? I mean, tens of thousands of people, um, overwhelmingly, right, women and children. It's horrifying. And we see this, we are connected to it and yet removed from it,
Yeah.
I mean, in the West, where we're lucky enough not to have bombs raining down on us,
Yeah.
um, so, but it affects us anyway. It affects our hearts. We are all one people here. We're one being. So we cannot. If we pretend we're separate, we're not telling the truth to ourselves. That's not our deepest truth. Uh, our
Yeah.
deepest truth is we're all connected. We're all one. Uh, so
Yeah.
we,
And it, go
you
ahead.
know, it's just going to affect us. This is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And so on a meditation perspective, like the thing is that even though there are unjustifiable, irreconcilable occurrences, both personally and within humanity, we want to reopen this channel and this stream within ourselves. Because otherwise we kind of lose ourselves. It's like we lose our ability to have joy and we lose our ability to empathize with other people.
Yeah.
And so this is why it's like in the meditations, even though there might not be an answer or an apology or a justification, we
Right.
still want to do these practices because we don't want to just be lugging it around with us, and we want to reopen these channels. And
Yeah.
with the vertical dimension in particular, this is connected with the energy of love, that we're really opening our heart back up to the stream of love, that love without end,
Yeah.
love beyond the personal love that has the ability to really move mountains within our own heart.
Yeah. That's beautifully said. And yeah, if we don't have the depths, then we don't have as much access to the height, and we find ourselves, living in a narrower and narrower thing, and I think many people struggle with this. There's a sense of numbness,
Mhm.
and then it's like, well, you don't feel as much, uh,
Mhm.
and you want to, I mean, because our hearts are longing to be fully alive and to grow and to express ourselves and to reach our potential. So numbness is not
Yeah.
going to feel good, right?
Yeah.
That feels bad to have that. You feel like you're living in a tiny cell or something, right? You want
Mhm.
to experience all the space that's within you, and all the range of emotion that's within you. And meditation can really help. I mean, meditation, it depends on what you do, honestly, like, because meditation can also be a way of sort of just spacing out, or maybe you have the expectation that meditation is going to just, give you joy and bliss and peace or whatever, right? And
Mm.
all I can say is when you meditate on your heart, that's not going to be what's going to happen.
We are going to
So,
process when we meditate with our heart and we open these channels back in our body through our breath and through our heart's energy, as well as tapping into like a more um, spirit level or omnipotent energy of these qualities that we're connecting to within ourselves. Basically, when we are doing that, we're healing emotional trauma. And so
yeah,
this is the thing with heart rhythm meditation in particular. It very much specializes in healing emotional trauma, or even just any kind of trauma, because that stuff is in our body. And so, and it's in our heart, it's in our muscles, and we are literally using our heart's energy field to be able to completely change that pattern in our system.
yeah,
So it's not a clean line, but it is a powerful one. And
very
that's
powerful.
why we do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also want to say, look, there's many ways of processing emotion. So we don't want to say that meditation is the only one either, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it is just very powerful, right? If you really use the breath, if you really go into your heart, into your emotion, and then hold that, allow that to flow, we don't want to just touch on that feeling and then be like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. Let me bounce, because that can happen too, right? We want to hold our place so that we can let our feelings flow.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we've both done this, right? I mean, you know that
Mhm.
you can process so much if you're in that place, if your breath is strong, you're in your center, you're in your heart, and then you can allow that to heal, and it feels like you are living a lifetime, you know
Mhm.
in terms of how
Mhm.
much just progress. It's like there's a certain amount of feeling, but if you turn it into a trickle, that's going to take a long time, right? Or but if you turn it into like this powerful big flow, if you turn it into a river, it's like whoosh, you're gonna you're gonna make a lot of progress. So,
Mhm. Mhm. And we're here with you, friends. So let's do it together.
all right,
Um, Go ahead and take your posture, your meditation posture. I do recommend for the four dimensions of the heart to stay seated, either cross-legged with a cushion, or a full lotus without one, or in a chair. And with your chair, you want your knees to be lower than your hips so that you can breathe more deeply. And that's where we start. Begin to deepen your breath. Now, you might think you're deepening your breath by bringing more volume of breath in, but you want to bring it into your lower abdomen, not just your chest. It can help to allow your abdomen to expand out like a balloon, especially your low belly, simply because it can help you bring your breath deeper than usual. And you really want to feel you are bringing more volume through. And you really want to fill up from the bottom up. And you're not going to choke yourself out, it's not going to get to your throat. You start from the very bottom of your torso, so that tailbone area, but it's broader than just your spine, it's your whole torso. And you fill up from there. With your next exhalation, see if you can exhale all your breath out. We almost all tend to hold some breath in. I mean, it depends on our personality. But most of us, I'd say, hold some breath in our lungs at all times. And so you really want to see about expanding the length of your exhalation. And you can help yourself do that by, when you get to the bottom of your exhale, pull your abdomen toward your spine, pull your navel toward your spine, and keep toning your abdomen in toward your spine until you get all the breath out, like you're pushing that last bit of breath out. Then the trick is to direct your next inhalation, which will be more full, direct it deep, just like before, all the way to the base. Keep working on bringing full breath in to your depths, and finishing your exhale. This is like the warm up, you know. I'm a yoga instructor in addition to meditation and energy healer, and we always have to warm up. And your diaphragm's a muscle. You have to warm your deep, full belly breathing up in your body. It's not how you're breathing in your normal day-to-day experience. We're changing the patterns of our breath, and you have to let that sink in your body. You have to let it warm up. And you can imagine, as you're warming your breath up, you can imagine like you're bringing more volume and you're making it smoother. Now, for some of you, this is honestly all the instruction that you need, in the sense that we get so much out of this alone. I'm going to keep adding on, and it's going to get more and more complicated because you have an entire universe in you, and we're unlocking that. But I just want you to know that this is enough in and of itself. If this is all that you connect to the whole time, this is brilliant and this is so, so effective in creating change even now. But we really want to tap into the power that's in our heart. And so, what we have to do in order to do that is to feel our physical heart. And I don't know why we're so taught that the heart's on the left side, hold your hand on the left side while you say the Pledge of Allegiance, right? It's pretty central. Your heart is pretty central. It's barely to the left, barely. It's pretty center. Try to feel your heart. As you breathe your deep, full breath, start to feel your heart. And it might sound like I say abstract things about the heart, but I'm really talking about your heart, your actual beating heart. And this first step is to start to focus on your heart before we can use it as a resource, before we can heal. We have to focus. And so, any level that you start to feel your heart is good. It could be physically feeling the heartbeat. Or maybe that channel, that nerve needs to be rekindled, and that's okay. You will feel your heartbeat the more you focus on your heart. It will come back to you, the feeling of it. But maybe today all that you get is your emotion, or the feeling of just that energy of your heart. And so, whichever level it's coming to you, focus on your heart and feel what it's saying or feel what it's giving to you today. And those of you that have been practicing for a while, start to really try to feel your heartbeat throughout the whole duration of your inhale and exhale. And those of you that are just starting off, if you don't feel your heartbeat, that's normal, at least until you develop that ability. What you're going to want to do is either place your hand on your heart to feel your heartbeat on your hand. Try that out. And or you're going to find a favorite pulse point. So you could grab your wrist of that same hand, placing a hand on your heart. That same hand, you take the other hand and wrap it around the wrist, and then you can feel both at the same time. It's very comforting. You find your pulse point, the echo of your heartbeat as you deeply breathe in and fully breathe out. I want you to let go of any ideas of right doing or wrong doing and drop into your deep heart. As you simply feel and listen the way you would with your closest lover, closest friend. And it's almost as if you're going to create this harmony, this marriage between your breath and your heartbeat, this friendship, by starting to breathe in rhythm with your own heartbeat. And at first, you may have to count, but eventually, we like you to name your heart as if your heart is saying the invocation that you most need right now. So, lots of different words you can place on your heartbeat, such as Shanti or Shiva or Vishnu or Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion. And you could even put Jesus on your heartbeat or Christy, anything you want. But first, you have to learn how to breathe in rhythm with your heartbeat. So, 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats out, so that it can be musical in the future, so that in the future you don't have to count anymore. But we have our training wheels, right? When we're learning how to ride our bikes. So, you have to count to begin. 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats out, doing your best to go toward that. It might be very different, and that's okay. That's just more information. Now I'm going to keep adding on that you just stay with what makes sense to you. I just want you to give you a chance to feel the height of your heart. So you're going to keep breathing in rhythm with your heart. We're going to kind of take a measurement. How is the height of my heart? So first change your breathing pattern to in through your nose and out through your mouth. Deep full belly breathing just like we've been doing. In rhythm with your heartbeat if you're working on that. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And we're just going to kind of take a gauge. And so you're going to inhale in your nose and you go from your heart, you focus on your heart, and you see as you inhale, can you feel as though the breath is moving upward, as if the breath is energizing from your heart up? And then as you exhale, you go back to your heart. And it's almost as if you're seeing how high can the channel of energy flow. Can you go at all from your heart up? Can you go a little bit? Could you go way up over your head, way into the crown? And just gauging what's possible with each breath. You're feeling, is your breath moving? Is the energy moving from your heart upward? Because you'll feel it. Some of us will feel an intense block, or it'll feel like there's not as much flow of energy. And some of us will go way up high without any effort at all. And we have to work on coming back down. So we're all feeling it very differently, and you want to get a feedback from your own body. And there's a certain freedom in the height, and there's this freedom to it. And there's something about that freedom. And just know that even if you're having a block, it's okay. Be very tender. You are working on opening it with each breath. That is what you're doing. But once the height is open, there's this freedom to it. There's this joy, this levity, this ecstasy, this unhinged bliss. Yeah, sounds good. And we want to bring that down into the depth of our heart. So basically, you inhale, and then as you exhale, you're letting some of that energy flow through the deeper parts of your heart. We'll explore the depth more later, but just taking a few breaths, bringing whatever height you got, maybe just reinforcing the height. Then as you exhale, bring it back down into your heart, maybe starting to feel your depths. And just for good measure, the next time you exhale, exhale from your heart downward and just take one breath to explore what that feels like. More tender, deeper part of your heart. Does the energy move there? One more breath like that. Good. And then mixing the two, just one breath. We'll go more into this with Asatar. Inhale up, and then mix that into the depth through your heart as you exhale and into your depth. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, thank yourself, move your body, and open up your eyes. Mm.
A lovely meditation. Thank you, Leah.
Oh, thank you, Asatar.
Mm. The power of the breath is just so great, and this feels like a place where you can really feel that. You can feel that rising upward,
Mhm.
energy on the breath, and you can also feel how your breath can move you down
Yeah,
into the depths. And I think this is actually um, one of the easier energetic movements to
totally.
become aware of.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
it's more powerful, or it's just more easy. I don't know what it is, but like it,
Yeah.
a lot of people experience this, and it might be for many people their first real experience of energy in their,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
very, very
And
common.
and that, like, the different parts of your heart can feel so different, like, it's like
Right.
the height versus the depth, and we didn't really start to touch deeper into the depth yet, but, like, it was, like, so different the way it felt. It was so different.
Yeah,
And also, like, how it can change with each breath, like, almost like you can work the whole thing with each breath.
yeah. I mean, this is the thing about making the breath slow and full. Each breath is like this journey.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't notice it when our breath is, our normal, shallow, rapid breath. We don't notice that, but when we draw it out, we feel that energetic journey.
Yeah.
You know, amazing. I mean, one breath
Um,
can just take you to extraordinary places. And
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Mm.
there's a there's a very well known name for that rising energy. Of course, that's Kundalini. Um,
Oh,
the
it was yeah.
So there's a whole,
Yeah.
understanding of this. It's within yoga, right there, Kundalini yoga, and
Mhm,
um, the downward energy is less well
mhm,
understood. There's maybe less of a name for it, but in Sufism, of course, we would call it ishq. That's the
mm,
love force.
mm,
And it has a very different feeling. It has a very different direction, and it has different effects. It takes us down into our hearts instead of like that rising energy, which can sometimes go, out of the body and out of the heart. But
mm,
um, that's not so
mm,
much a risk with the downward flow, right? That really takes us in. Uh,
mhm,
so
mhm.
really
Yeah,
wonderful way to just experience that energy. And it's one of the things we're working on in meditation is to become more aware of our own energies. And
yeah.
we have a comment here, just from Evie, just saying hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Evie. Hello. Thank
Thanks
you
for
for being
joining.
here.
Good to see you. um,
Yeah,
so we want to keep on working on this energy, and
yeah.
just see where it takes us. I think I already feel a lot. I have to say, I started this session feeling pretty low energy, and
Uh-huh.
just feeling a lot of exhaustion. And you know, um, I watched this video. These three people, it's shot from above. These three people, three Palestinians, are just trying to start a motorcycle, and what happens? A bomb gets dropped on them, and they're all killed. And I just burst
Mm,
into tears, like, and I saw this. And I mean, we have this cognitive dissonance going on. We have these like images that's so striking, and I don't know. A lot of times, I think that's an unusual response for me. I don't think I react so strongly a lot of the time. And
mm.
um, it just we need that. We need to be in the flow of our emotions. There's no rational answer to any of this.
Yeah,
Um, So but I think I mean, or let's say what I experience is by being in that flow of feeling, it has its own answer. It has um, it it's self healing. You know,
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that it's an answer to things that are unanswerable. It it
Yeah.
gives us the ability to heal amongst the terrible things that happen to us and that happen to others. Like, because this is the whole thing is that it's like we're tapping into energies that are bigger than ourself, that are even bigger than humanity, that are bigger than all of it.
Yeah.
And that is what helps us so much to keep going and not become so lost in ourselves and so burdened by these heaviness that we are broken, like beyond repair. This idea of becoming unbreakable is like being able to reopen these channels amidst the irreconcilable things that are going on around us and towards us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's do another meditation then, shall
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
So move into your your meditative posture and um, begin to just sit up straight and yet relaxed. We want that feeling of the weight being just sitting calmly and held by the sits bones and feeling as though a string is attached to the very top of your head and is pulling you upwards. So we're not using a lot of tension to maintain our posture, but we feel like we're in a balance. Again, the force of gravity, which connects us to the earth and brings us down. And there's also a rising energy that is the gravitational force of the rest of the universe pulling us upward. And we can exist in the balance of these forces. And then we tune into the breath. And the first step is just to become aware of your breath. And then we move into optimizing the breath. And we start by making the breath deep, expanding the belly as we breathe in, contracting the belly as we breathe out. Just allowing your belly to expand like a balloon. So often the case that we maintain armor around our bellies. We go through our day sucking them in. So just release that and let your belly expand. Let your belly fill with breath. And then as you exhale, allow your belly button to move toward your spine. And begin to engage the abdominal muscles so that you're breathing more. You're making your breath slow, deep, and slow. You may notice that this way of breathing brings you down into your body, brings you down into the depth of your heart, just this beginning part of the practice. We slow down our breath, we slow down our rhythm. We slow down our rhythm. We have time to experience the breath. We have time to experience the energy of it, the emotion of it. And now begin to really connect your breath to your heart. Make your breath a heart center to feel that your heart is breathing. As you take in breath, it is your heart that is taking in energy. And as you breathe out, your heart is radiating that energy in all directions, receiving and giving, exchanging energy with the universe. Concentrate on energizing your heart with your breath. You would like to make the breath rhythmic as well. We would like the inhalation and the exhalation to have the same length and intensity. And we can do this by tuning into the heartbeat and bringing the heartbeat into harmony with the breath. Same number of heartbeats on the inhalation as there are on the exhalation. And this might stretch you. This is going to be different than how you normally breathe. And it's going to be an effort to maintain the concentration. Do your best because this effort really pays off in terms of the energy that you gain from this. You can choose the number of beats that are right for you. Just make it the same number of beats on the inhalation as the exhalation. But if you feel like this is the practice for you, I would like you to work on it until you can do 8 beats in and 8 beats out. It might take some time, that might take some work to get to that point. Once you have reached a stable rhythm, then you work on making the breath more and more full. And you can do this even with the same count. There's 2 ways to do it. You could make your count longer, which makes your breath slower. And you may find then that it's a struggle to complete the breath. You may be struggling to get to the very end of your count, either on the exhalation or on the inhalation, or maybe on both sides. Alternatively, you can keep to the same count and just make the breath more forceful within that count so that you breathe more in the same amount of not same number of heartbeats, the same amount of time. So we're working on making the breath bigger, more powerful. And this is called the full breath. It's done by engaging your abdominal muscles much more than you typically do when you're breathing. Squeezing out all of the breath on the exhalation, controlling the abdominal muscles on the inhalation, not allowing the breath to just rush in and become jagged, keeping the breath smooth and controlled. And then expanding not just the belly, but the sides of the body and all the way up into the upper chest so that you feel the rhythm of the breath and the motion of the breathing all the way between your pelvis and your collarbone. That's how much movement should be going on in your trunk. That is what full breathing entails. We also want the breath to be very smooth, very silent. We don't want any restriction happening in your throat. Do not use your throat to control the breath. Use your abdominal muscles. And this takes a lot of practice. It is a lifelong study. And now begin to work with the direction of the energy. So as you exhale, feel the energy of the breath descending, going down, 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 as if you are inside your heart. And yet your heart is a vast space, as deep as the ocean. And as you breathe out with your full breath, you go deeper, deeper still, feeling all that there is in the depth of your heart, all that connects you to all beings, to everything that exists. In the depth, you know that we are all one. And then on the inhalation, you feel that rising energy, rising to the height of your heart, energizing your idealism, your sense of the highest, the greatest. In Sufism, we say Allahu Akbar. And this is normally translated to say God is great. But we might give it a different spin. We might say God is greatness itself. All that you know as great, that is God. And more. God is infinitely great. So feel that in your heart. Explore your heart's greatness. What are you reaching for? What are you longing for? Because our hearts are filled with endless longing. That is our nature. Breathe in and feel that rising energy within your heart. You might feel it as excitement, as joy. You might feel it as inspiration. And there may be pain there, there may be fear there. And that's okay. Whatever you experience, do not expect it to fit neatly into categories. Do not expect it to be all good, all positive, whatever that means. Open yourself to whatever the experience holds for you. And the same is true for as we breathe out and explore the depths of the heart. There may be pain there, there may be fear there. And allow that to flow. Do not lose your center. Stay with the breath, stay with the experience. Keep your breath rhythmic. Do not lose sight of what you're doing. Do not allow that experience to overwhelm you. And the stronger the emotion that you're feeling, the more you must hold fast to the breath. The more you must allow that flow to move through your heart, trusting in it, trusting in the flow of emotion. There is no feeling that is bigger or more powerful than your heart. Your heart has the power to heal all your wounds. Your heart is the medicine that your heart needs. May sound like a paradox, but that is my experience. Be aware of anything that feels like a blockage, anything within you that maybe says, don't go there. Don't go to the depths. We've gone deep enough. Or don't go any higher. This is good. That's not high enough. As I say, our hearts are filled with endless longing. Our hearts long to experience the reality of the infinite, of love without end, love that is eternal, infinite, and perfect. Because that is the nature of our spirit, and our hearts long to experience that fullness. So, a thought or a feeling that says, I've gone far enough. This is not coming from your heart's longing, it's coming from your mind. It's coming from a place that says, I've been hurt there before, I'm afraid. You can just be with that because it's natural, it happens. We go through life and we get wounded. That happens to us all. No one is immune from that. And it happens more the more sensitive you are, the more open your heart is, the more vulnerable. There is power in that vulnerability too. You remove the filter, you take the basket off of your light. You're not hiding anymore. We pursue anything that is important to us. We run the risk of pain, of loss, of failure. But we also have the possibility of growth, of success. And failure brings growth. So, even if we don't achieve the success we're looking for, we will grow. It might not be very much, it might not feel like a lot of consolation if you are struggling with the disappointment, the loss that can come from really taking a shot at something and not having it work out. That has happened to me and it is devastating. And the only answer is to just feel it, be with it, to grieve that loss, to allow that feeling to fully be felt and expressed in your heart. Maybe that's not the answer you're hoping for from a meditation. Maybe you're hoping for someone to tell you, no, it's all going to be rainbows and unicorns and whipped cream and chocolate. But I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you the truth instead. Your heart contains all. Your heart is all. There is no limiting your heart. All right, and when you're ready, you can end your meditation. Come back to the space.
Mm. Beautiful, thank you.
Mm.
Woo! It was a wild ride tonight, everybody.
No, right? I was thinking, can't believe I felt low energy earlier. Very, very high energy now. Yeah,
Um, well, oh my goodness. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. And if you have been having experiences with us while you meditate, please feel welcome to reach out to us. We are available still. One of these years, we will be too popular and we will no longer be available. So
right.
you reach
You're
out.
lucky we're in the early stages of our popularity where we're
reach,
still willing to engage
reach,
our fans.
reach us while you can. I do remote healing and remote sessions, so you can always reach out to me for that. Asitar, I don't think he's available for that, but you can reach out to him anyway for
I'm
questions
a
and
little less
things.
available, that's true, but send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Of
The one
course,
that's less available is always a little more alluring.
now they really want me. Yeah.
Damn it.
If you'd
Oh
like to
my
support the
goodness.
show, please go to our Patreon, and I really recommend you do a healing session with Leah. She's amazing at it, and you'll really move a lot of energy. So, and of
We're
course, if you can't do that, meditate on your own. You'll experience a lot of benefit there as well.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us, everyone. We appreciate your presence. Thank
And
you.
we'll be back next week. Take care, everyone. Keep meditating.